This sage is the one who brought Dharma into every home of India. A lady has been crying for a long time outside his ashram, as if there is no one for her in this world. The tears of women have ended eras of civilizations. What is the cause of her despair? The sage gave her refuge. She got back her confidence. Normally, she does not get upset by adversities. Her intense love for her husband can challenge even the concentration of the yogis. Her mind can take independent decisions on dharma. 15 years ago, of her own will, she decided to live an ascetic life in a forest with her truthful husband. After she had spent 13 hard years in the forest, she was suddenly abducted. For a year, as a captive in despair, she yearned to be back with her husband. After being rescued, she adorned the throne of Ayodhya, but soon afterwards, her subjects abandoned her. Sita was drowning in an ocean of sorrow when Sage Valmiki emerged as her savior. Valmiki was born a poor man without even a name. He did severe penance for such a long time that an anthill formed around him. Anthill in Sanskrit is Valmik. Therefore, he was given the name Valmiki. Today, an extraordinary incident is going to unfold in the life of Valmiki, which will deeply impact the Indian psyche. He is walking towards the river to have a bath. On his way, a pair of Krauncha birds is rejoicing in love. Seeing this auspicious scene in the morning, his heart is filled with delight. Then suddenly, an arrow hits the male Krauncha, killing him instantly. The sorrowful wailing of the female Krauncha filled the atmosphere. Valmiki was stunned and shocked. A hunter appeared. On seeing him, these words burst out of Valmiki. "O Nishad, you will be discredited till eternity. You have killed one of the Krauncha pair, entranced in love." Immediately, Valmiki felt remorse. What have I uttered? I never wanted to curse this Nishad. He returned to the ashram, but the sorrowful wailing of the female bird kept echoing in his mind. Why did the grief of a crying bird sadden me so much? Why, in the cries of a Krauncha, am I reminded of the sorrowful face of Ram's wife, Sita? That distressed bird could not speak, so how did I become the voice of her agony? Intense state of mind can bring Samadhi. Thinking of this, he entered into Samadhi. Rising out of Samadhi, he composed an epic. And what a creation! The two children of the ashram sang it for the first time. When these two sons of Sita narrated the compassionate story of their mother, it is said that Ayodhya was sunk in a flood of tears. The earth could not bear it any longer. Her bosom tore apart, and Sita entered into it. She was born from the earth and went back to the earth. Her story evokes rivers of tears from the hardest of human hearts. Ramayana is a compassionate story of Sita.
Sochat suta swaroop banai, jag janani more ghar aayi, jai jaykar devatan kini, siye charan pusmanjali dini, bhaag sunayna जनक के जागे मेघवारी बरसावन लागे.
Itihas is not only a history of the past, it is always present. Sita is present even today. It is astonishing that we are unable to recognize the nurturing of tender soil, which is the mother of our world. In Sanskrit, Sita means agricultural land. The day we envision Sita in the earth, we will stop spraying it with poisonous chemicals. Sita is the epitome of human civilization, to be achieved yet again.
जग जननी मोरे घर आई.
The Vedic rishis had realized that Earth, the provider of medicine, plants and food, is a Devi, a goddess. Devtas or gods guard her with great care.
जय जयकार देवतन कीनी.
The earth is upheld by the truth, and it is protected by truth-abiding humans. Humans should live life truthfully and honestly to protect Mother Earth. It seems as if to teach us this, the earth was born in the human form of Sita. And the one who upholds Mother Earth was also born in the human form of Ram. Both suffered to uphold the principle of truth, to save the earth from the demonic burden of untruth. Ever since they have passed on, people have been singing the story of their life and deeds. The Epic Ramayana has been sung by thousands of generations. The number of dramas that are performed of it has no parallel in the world. Every year, it is played in almost every village of India. Thousands of its katha and discourses continue round the year. Sanskrit, Prakrit, Tamil, Telugu, there is no language without a version of Ramayana. There is no place in India that is left untouched by the impact of the Ramayana. The expanse of the Ramayana reminds us of the cultural boundaries of ancient India. Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, villagers, scholars, illiterates, all have left their imprints on the epic Ramayana. Ramayana is the deepest and longest continuity of India. The Ramayana is not a story of Ram and Sita alone. It is also the story of the Indian mind. To evolve as human beings, Ram and Sita suffered the long penance of separation. Today, integrity and honesty in Indian marriages are taken for granted. But was it like this at the beginning of civilization? In those early times, when instinctive behavior was not moderated by intellectual wisdom, bringing integrity into relationships may have been a difficult task. But some ancient Indians lived a life of self-control and became exemplars for generations. When thousands of generations emulated them, it may have been ingrained into the natural behavior of Indians. What would have happened if there was no defined dignity in relationships? We would have procreated on this planet like animals, but without the creation of a civilization and Sanskriti. There would not have been knowledge and science, no idea of liberation or moksha. Human civilization is based on the institution of marriage. But this was not enough for Indian civilization. The roots of Indian married life are deep in Dharma and Truth, and the reason for this is yoga. The purpose of marriage is not limited to producing children. Our consciousness has divided itself into two to realize itself through dialogue. The scriptures are full of dialogues between Shiva and Parvati. Through dialogue, they realize the self and unite into one. Therefore, Indian marriage is not seen as a contract of self-evolution. It is a sanskaar, a spiritual culture, a culture of self-evolution. The supreme personifications of this culture had descended on India on Mount Kailash, which is not in India now. Seated high above the world, on Kailash, the married life of Adiyogi Shiva and Parvati gave marriage the purity of the Himalayas and the detachment of the skies. Keeping that inspiration in their hearts, Ram and Sita lived in this world to reach the pinnacle of married life. Purity and detachment while being in samsara is even more challenging. Therefore, Shiva and Parvati also worship Ram and Sita. Who is superior is not known, but as long as these two couples remain in the hearts of Indians as their ideals, this civilization will live harmoniously.
Hare Rama, 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 Sita, Rama, Rama, Rama.
Indians proudly believed that there is no country like theirs and no kings like theirs.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Al-Biruni, on knowing this, wrote that Indians are arrogant. He was wrong. There were many Indian kings who personally suffered to keep their public promise and restore Dharma. In the civilizations where a brother murders his own brother for the throne and displays his head in the court as proof, it may be hard to understand why Ram sacrificed his throne for his younger brother and left for exile in the forest. Equanimity of mind is essential in loss and gain. Ram had smiled when sacrificing his throne. Life can be sacrificed to keep a given word. Ram's father, King Dashrath, had sacrificed his life to honor the vow he gave his wife. Al-Biruni recorded that Hindus take decisions after consulting with their ladies. Before the arrival of holy books, women had many rights in all ancient civilizations. Their faces were never covered. They were seated on thrones and given equal rights in court. All ancient civilizations have progressive elements, but their negative aspects are highlighted by some. People with a negative attitude deliberately look for oppressive aspects in the Ramayana. They want to see the characters in black and white. According to Yoga, this is unrealistic. There are not two, but three basic colors in this world. With these three colors, the infinite colors of life are made. The perception that black is a villain and white is a hero is a myth, but not in the Ramayana. It is not a story of conflict between two opposite poles. The person who had mastered the stillness of body and mind to the point that an anthill was formed around him, that tranquil mind first understood the Vedas and Natya Shastra. Then he composed a classical poem of the events and set it to music. The Leela of Ram, composed by Valmiki, is so captivating that by watching it, one starts witnessing the Ramlila of his own life. It is just a matter of seeing. The moment reality is unveiled, Prakriti stops her dance. And the self gets detached, hence liberated. Ramayana is an epic of liberation. Ram and Sita are Purusha and Prakriti, the consciousness and nature of Sankhya philosophy. Sometimes Ram is Purusha, Sita Prakriti. Sometimes Sita is Purusha and Ram Prakriti. When man runs after the mirage of a golden deer, the evil forces take over the Atma. man wanders everywhere in despair. Then the pranayam of Ashtanga Yoga unites us with our Atma, because pranayam purifies the senses and intellect.
कंदर्प कोटि कमनीय किशोर मूर्ति पूर्ति मनोरथ भुआम भज जानकीशम.
Indians believe that through the senses and intellect, complete knowledge cannot be acquired. The deepest meaning of events is illuminated by the light of our innermost being. Therefore, the tradition of India, Itihas, is not the physical description of events alone. It is the ability to comprehend an event in totality, of which history is but a small part. On knowing the story of Sita, Valmiki did not start writing immediately. Instead, he sat in meditation. In Samadhi, he contemplated the spiritual depth of the events. After the killing of an innocent Krauncha bird and the wailing of the female, Valmiki wondered, why does a person kill innocent beings for no reason? Why does a person indulge in adharma? The question of Valmiki is the question of India. If Bharat was self-sufficient, then why was it attacked? In this world, who is dharmic and virtuous? The one who does not indulge in aimless violence? The answer would have come from Sita.
Rama सखा धर्ममय असरथ जाके सखा
Ram, the personification of dharma.
जैसे देवताओं और असुरों का परस्पर संग्राम होता है, जैसे कौरवों का पांडवों का युद्ध होता है, जैसे भगवान श्री राम और रावण का युद्ध होता है, इसी तरह अगर हम लोग अपने मन को झांक कर देखें तो इसमें भी सद असद वृत्तियों का युद्ध होता है.
Ravan, the demon, was riding on his divine chariot, decorated with several divine weapons. He had a disciplined army. Ascetic Ram was on foot and had an army of monkeys. Vibhishan, the brother of Ravan, felt pity for Ram. He said to Ram, "Friend, how will you win this battle?" Ram replied,
जिससे विजय प्राप्त की जा सकती है वो रथ अलग है. जिस रथ के सौरज धीरज दो पहिए हैं, उसी रथ की ध्वजा पताका सत्य और शील है. हम स्वयं सत्य का जीवन तो जिएं, पर औरों के साथ शील भरा व्यवहार करें. वैराग्य का बल हो, वैराग्य का बल होगा तो विवेक होगा. तो बल, विवेक और दम माने इंद्रिय संयम और परोपकार, ये चार घोड़े हैं. और इन चारों घोड़ों को क्षमा, कृपा, समता की सम्मिलित रज्जु से व्यवस्थित किया जाए. रावण आदि राक्षस यही हमारे दुर्गुण और दुर्भाव हैं. इनको पराजित करना हो तो कैसे? तब भगवान कहते हैं कि धर्मारूढ़ होकर चलें. ऐसा धर्म रथ जिसके पास है, उसके लिए कोई शत्रु जीतने के लिए बचता ही नहीं है. सखा धर्ममय असरथ जाके सखा
Kekai, Ram's second mother, called Ram and asked, Ram, will you surely leave for exile? He said, O mother, Ram always says what he means. What he thought, he spoke and he did. Unwavering truth is Ram. One statement, one wife, and one arrow to kill the enemy. Ramban is the infallible arrow of determination. An arrow shot from the bow and a word that is spoken can never be taken back. In the kingdoms of truth-abiding kings, there should not be untimely deaths, famines, or natural calamities. Therefore, Indians always aspire for Rama Rajya, a kingdom like that of Ram.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Sita Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Rama.
In recent times, China and the World Health Organization did not reveal the truth about the corona pandemic, due to which more than 1 million people died. But where is the public outrage about this act? Some people praise China for this, and it is not surprising. Many nations across the world have become rich by taking an untruthful path. But the ancient Indians flourished on the basis of truthfulness. Many foreign traders write about Indians in this manner. 2000 years ago, historian Strabo wrote, "They are so honest as neither to require locks on their doors nor writing to bind their agreements." After 200 years, Aryan wrote, "No Indian was ever known to tell an untruth." Marco Polo wrote, "You must know that these Brahmins are the best merchants in the world and the most truthful, for they would not tell a lie for anything on earth." Abul Fazl wrote, "The Hindus are admirers of truth." Major General of the East India Company, William Sleeman wrote, "I have had before me hundreds of cases in which a man's property, liberty, or life have depended on his telling a lie, and he has refused to tell it to save either." Max Muller wrote, "It was love of truth that struck all the people who came into contact with India as the prominent feature in the national character in the inhabitants. No one ever accused them of falsehood. For Indians, there was nothing superior than the truth. Destruction of truth meant a big abuse, after which nothing remains. Indians believe they have lost much of the truth under the rulers of falsehood and deceit, lost their riches. Therefore, in remembrance, they sing in honor of truth incarnates, Ram and Sita."
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Sita Rama, Ram Ram.
What a moment it was in the history of India when destiny was overcome by the valor of man. In India, the greatest perseverance is the yoga hut. Therefore, victory is there where Yogeshwar is. Even today, his voice echoes from this Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra. Rise up, Bharat. It is not the time to meditate when the land of meditation is surrounded by the Kauravas. Rise up, Bharat. It is not that these kings will disappear forever. They will come back again and again in different bodies. How rightly it was said. People in different bodies kept coming to attack India, and to counter them, the protectors also came. Because of them, the Atma of Bharat was never destroyed.